Today's lesson, we're going to talk about hyperbola. So this is what we're going to graph from the equations. And you can see this equation looks very similar to ellipse. So how can we tell the difference between ellipse and hyperbola? Ellipse will have both positive, where hyperbola will have one of them negative. So if you write the negative on the second term, between these two is going to be always subtractions. So when you have y negative, so you have x first, then you're going to have open sideway hyperbola. But then when you have x negative, y positive, so y will be first because you wanted to put the positive fraction first. Then you're going to have going up and down, open up and down hyperbola. And this will have center, focus points, vertex, and asymptotes. And one other thing that you need to be careful with is if this is the standard form, and then eccentricity is going to be equals to C over A. Okay, so let's look at example 1. We have x squared over 4 minus y squared over 9. So because one of variable is negative, we can tell this is going to be hyperbola, even if we don't have word for it. And then we wanted to make this square, so it's going to become 2 square or 3 square, right? And we don't have any attachment to x and y, so your center is going to be 0, 0 for this. Your vertex is going to be, because you have x positive, it's going to be open sideway. So it will be on x-axis changes. So it will be x, from the center points, your x value is going to change by 2. Add 2 and subtract 2. Focus points is going to be C equals 2 plus minus. You're adding. So it will be 4 plus 9. So it will be plus minus square root of 13. So from the center points, so this should be giving you square root of 13 and 0, and square root of negative square root of 13 and 0. Asymptote will be using the formula. So your B is going to be 3, your A is 2. Eccentricity is going to be also your formula. Your C is square root of 13, and your A is 2. If you wanted to get decimal, it will be somewhere close to 1.8. So when you graph this is going to be center. So you're going to draw the asymptote first. Go up 3 and move right 2. So that will be somewhere right there. Same thing on this side, plus minus. So draw the asymptote, passing those points. And your parabola, start from 2, going toward the asymptotes, but never touch. And same thing with negative 2. And focus is going to be square root of 13. So it will be somewhere right here. That's how you're going to graph your hyperbola. For the first example, Let's try example number 2. It's a 16y squared minus 9x squared equals to 144. And we wanted to graph and find all this informations. So first thing we wanted to do is dividing everything by 144 so that you will have 1 on the right side. So divided everything by 144. This will give me y squared over 9 remains, and then x squared over 16, and 1 on the right side. So from that, we can find there is no attachment to x and y, so that will give you 0, 0 center. Because you have y variable positive, right? This y is positive, x is the negative. So we know that your vertex is going to be y, which is 3 squared, so it will be 3. And focus point is going to be plus minus square root of 9 plus 16, which is plus minus square root of 25. That's plus minus 5. So from the center, it will be on y value plus minus 5. So it will be 0, 5, and 0, negative 5. Asymptotes will be plus minus a over bx formula, where your a is 3 on this problem, b is 4. So that will be your asymptote. Eccentricity is c over a. So here your c is 5, a is 3, about 1.7. So what is given is center is 0, 0. From here, using the asymptote, so it means go up 3. You're going up 3 to 3, and move right 4, will be right here. And go down 3, move left 4. So using your asymptote, you should be able to find this line. Passing this point. So let's draw the straight line passing those 4 points. That's going to be 2 asymptotes. And then your graph, vertex start from 0, 3, and 0, negative 3. Going toward asymptotes but never touch. And your focus point is going to be 0, 5, 0, negative 5. And that's the graph for example 2. So now before we do example 3, we have the formula. That's not going to be center 0, 0. So you will have a formula or equation with center not being 0. Everything else is going to be same, right? So don't forget about what it's given. And using that, we should be able to solve example 3. So example 3, when you look at it, the first term you have negative, which is x is negative, y is positive. So if you rewrite this as the standard form, you have y plus 3 squared over 1 minus x minus 2 squared over 9 equals to 1. From the standard form of equations, your center comes from x value and y value here. So your x will have positive 2, y will be negative 3. And vertex, move plus minus 1 for y. So x stays same from negative 3. You're going to move plus minus 1, which you end up getting 2 and negative 2, 2 and negative 4. And focus point C is plus minus square root of 1 plus 9, which is plus minus square root of 10. This is the value that will be add and subtract from your center y value. So it will be that, right? I guess I don't have to write it because I cannot combine square root with negative 3. And your asymptote will be y minus k plus minus a over b x minus h when you have a center. So when you center, that's not 0, right? So your k is going to be 3. A is 1, B is 3. Your H is going to be 2. And then you will get 2 parts because you have plus minus. So 1 with the positive, you're doing 1/3 x minus 2/3. 1 with the negative, you have y plus 3 equal negative 1/3 x plus 2/3. And when you subtract negative 3, is same as, so subtract 3, having a same denominator of 3, that's same as subtracting 9 over 3. So you get 1/3 x minus 11 over 3. And this one, you're subtracting 3. So that's subtracting 9 over 3. You will get negative 1/3 x minus 7 over 3 this time. So that will be asymptote, and eccentricity is going to be c over a. So it will be square root of 10 over 1, which is square root of 10. So when we graph all this, your center start from 2 and negative 3 right there. And your asymptote, the one y-intercept is going to be negative 11 over 3, which is negative 3 2/3. So it will be somewhere, if this is 4, it will be somewhere right there. So draw the line. This is asymptote, right? then the second one will have y-intercept of negative 7/3. So that's going to be negative 2 1/3. So it will be somewhere right here. So when you draw the asymptote line, and vertex is going to be negative 2 negative 2, 2 negative 2, and 2 negative 4. So draw the parabola going toward your asymptotes but never touch. You will have something like that with focus points. One with 2 and negative 3 plus minus plus square root of 10 will be somewhere here. And 2 negative 3 minus square root of 10 will be somewhere right here. This example, we have standard form, not the graphing form. So first we need to change the equations into the graphing form. And sometime we will realize we are working on hyperbola, so we know that that's what we're going to get. But if you have questions like that on an exam, once you make it in a graphing form, you're going to tell if it's going to be ellipse or hyperbola by having a negative or non-negative. So let's try that. We're going to put all the number with variable x first. So it will be 16x squared minus 32x. And then little space with negative 9y squared plus 90y. And I wanted to put negative 353 on the other side. And we're going to end up adding new c. Right? Adding new c for both variable. But in order to do that, in order to add new c, don't forget leading coefficients of both terms have to be 1. So let's factor 16 from those first term. Oops, I don't need to write that. So when I factor 16, I get x squared minus 2x. And then when I factor negative 9 from the y term, I will have y squared minus 10y equals to 353. Now, again, we're trying to add new c, and we should be able to do that since our leading coefficient is 1 now. And this new c for x variable is going to be 2 over 2 squared, which is 1 squared, so it will be 1. And when you're multiplying 16 with 1, you get 16. So it's like you add 16 to it on the left side, so you're adding 16 on the other side too. If we wanted to find out new c for variable y, your b is 10 over 2 squared, so it will be 5 squared. That gives you 25. And when you're multiplying negative 9 with 25, you're going to multiply both, you multiply negative 225, so you need to do subtracting 225 on the other side. Now when you simplify what I I have 16. This trinomial, when you factor, you get x minus 1 square. And you have minus 9. This trinomial, when you factor, you get y minus 5 square equals to, when you add all this up, you get 144. So let's divide both side by 144 to make the right side 1. So this is going to be reduced to 1. And you get 16 goes into 144, 9. 9 goes into 144, 16. So since I have subtractions, I know this is going to be a hyperbola. So if we wanted to find the center, x will be 1, y will be 5. Vertex, your x is positive, y is negative, so you're going to plus minus to the x value in the center. So you end up getting 4, 5, or negative 2 and 5. Focus point C is plus minus square root of 9 plus 16, which is plus minus square root of 25. That's plus minus 5 into the x value on x center. So it will be 1 plus minus 5 with 5. That gives you 6, 5, and negative 4, 5. So then if we wanted to find the asymptote, we're going to use the formula. And that gives you y minus 5 equals to plus minus 4 over 3 x minus 1. So when on the right side is positive, you get y minus 5 equals to 4 over 3x minus 4 over 3. When 4 over 3 is negative, you get y minus 5 equal negative 4 over 3x plus 4 over 3. Don't forget you're doing a distributing, right? That's why negative, negative make it positive right there. And when you simplify this, you're adding both sides by 5. So that gives you 4 over 3 plus 15 over 3. So in order to get rid of negative 5, you're adding 15 over 3. You get 4 over 3x plus 11 over 3. And y equals to negative 4 over 3x plus 19 over 3. And that's going to be 2 asymptotes. And your E value is 5 over 3, which is 1.67, close to. Then we're going to graph it, and your center is 1 and 5. From there, you wanted to draw the asymptote first. So this is going to be first asymptote, and this is the second asymptote. And I showed you from the other problems, find the y-intercept and use slopes to find the second point, right? Or find the y-intercept, you already have a center and your asymptote, your line had to pass that point. So once you find the y-intercept, draw the line that passing y-intercept and that center. And do the same thing, and you're going to end up getting 2 lines. And your vertices 4 and 5. And -2 and 5. And draw the hyperbola. And your focus points will be 6 and 5, and -4 and 5. We have one more example just like that, but for the time being, I will not write it here or show it on the video. But if you wanted to compare and see if you can get this problem right, or wanted to check this problem solution after you work on it, you can check it from my class notes. My class notes will have a solution for this. Now, if we try example 6, this time we should be able to do backward. With the informations, we wanted to find the standard form of the equations. This standard form means the graphing form is what they're talking about, right? Graphing form of hyperbola. So knowing this, what we're looking for, it makes it a little easier. So then what we're going to do is, because it say the center at the origin, it means you're going to have a 0, 0. K is equals to 0, H is equals to 0 on a formula, right? So that's the part that we don't have to worry about. It means we're going to have something look like x squared over a minus y squared over b equals to 1. That's the format we're going to get. Now we wanted to see if we can find a and b. And this is the problem A we're working on. And we can find a and b by using c squared equals to a squared plus b squared. We know that c is going to be 3 and a is going to be 2. So when we replace that, we should be able to find the b. So the b squared is equals to 3 squared minus 2 squared. So b should be square root of plus minus. That's 9 minus 4 is 5. So once we replace that, we will have x squared over a squared is 4. And then minus y squared over square of square root of 5 will be 5 equals to 1. And that will be the solution or equations with the A conditions. So the one with the B conditions, this one also mentioned the same thing with the center 0, 0. So it should be look like that. And because instead of x, your vertices changes on the y instead of x. So we know that we will have y value first. And x will be negative. And focus being 6, your c is 6. And A is 2. Well, I guess B is 2. Because it's on the well, I guess we can say A is 2, right? Which is going to be 2 squared will be b. So that gives you b is equals to y value. Well, y value is given, so let's call this a then, right? So then this is going to be plus minus square root of 36 minus 4, so it will be 32. So the equation will have y underneath the y value is b. We say b is 2, so it will be 2 squared 4. Square root of 32 squared will be 32 equals to 1. And that will be the formula for part B. So the last problem we're going to look at it in this section is also, again, finding the equations, right? Equation of hyperbola. This time, the first one is given with the vertex of negative 4 and 8, and focus points of negative and 12 on our x values. So when I graph this, the reason I'm graphing it so I can find the center point. So if this is x-axis and this is y-axis, we have 1 on the 8 and 1 on the negative 4. And then you have focus points on the negative 8 and positive 12. So if we wanted to find the center, it have to be between these two numbers, exactly half of that two number. And how do we find that point? It will be 8 plus negative 4 and divide by 2. So it will be 4 over 2, which is 2. So that's going to be your center point, 2. So once we have center, then what do we know? So then we're going to plug into the formula. And this one have all the x value changes. So we know x will be the first, positive. And let's start replacing all the numbers. So h will be the center value, x will be minus 2, right? This is going to be center, which is 2 and 0. And y is going to be 0, so it will be just k equals to 0, so it will be y squared. Equals to 1. What about a value then? A value is going to be center 2, 8. So this distance, right? That's going to be 6. So we will say your a is equals to 6, and your y is something we can look for. We just mentioned that a is going to be 6 because the distance from 2 to 8 or 2 to 4, right? And now your distance, your c is going to be distant from 2 to 12. That's going to be 10, right? So we know that c is going to be 10. So if we know c is going to be 10 and a is 6, we should be able to find b. So b is equals to plus minus square root of a squared and c squared minus a squared. So let's write the c squared first. C is 10, so it will be c squared is 100 minus 36. So b is equals to plus minus square root of 64. So here, this value is going to be 64. And 6 squared, we can write it as 36. And that's the equations for part A in example 7. And B, let's do one more times with it all changes on the x. And look like you have 9, negative 17, 1, and 9. So your center will be between these 2 points, right? In order to find that, we will do negative 9 plus 1 divided by 2, so it will be negative 4 and 0. So that's going to be center. And again, all this value changes is in x. So you're going to write x first. So you will have x plus 4 square over a, and then y minus 0, so it will be y squared over b equals to 1. Your a is going to be from center to either side, so to negative 9 or to 1. And because that's negative 4, the distance is going to be 5. So 5 squared will be 25. And the c is going to be from negative 4 to negative 17 or negative 4 to 9. Your c value is going to be 13. Right? Because you do negative 17 minus negative 4, which is going to be plus 4. Right? So that gives you 13. So we know c is 13, a is 25. Your b square is c square minus a square. So b is, that's b, plus minus square root of 169 minus 25. That's plus minus square root of 144. So here it will be 144 when you square it. So that's going to be solution for B. So this section, we should know how to find all this information from the equations and in order to graph it. And also going backward from all this information, you should be able to find the equations.